The crisp air of a Siberian January morning held a deceptive promise. The sun began to rise, casting a golden hue over the snow-covered landscape, making everything appear serene and peaceful. The town was slowly waking up, with people stepping out of their homes, bundled up in layers to protect themselves from the biting cold. The air was filled with the sounds of crunching snow underfoot and the distant hum of engines warming up. It was a typical winter morning in Siberia, where the cold was a constant companion, but the promise of a new day brought a sense of hope and anticipation. It was a day for new beginnings, a day when the possibilities seemed endless. The sun's rays pierced through the frosty air, illuminating the town and bringing a sense of warmth despite the freezing temperatures. People were going about their daily routines, some heading to work, others preparing for journeys that would take them far from home. The town was alive with activity, each person carrying their own hopes and dreams for the day ahead. At the heart of this bustling activity was the airport, a place of comings and goings, of tearful goodbyes and joyful reunions. Families hugged tightly, promising to stay in touch while travelers checked their tickets and luggage, eager to embark on their journeys. The airport was a microcosm of human emotion, a place where the excitement of travel mingled with the sadness of parting. At Surgut International Airport, Kolavia Flight 348 stood poised for takeoff. The sleek Tupolev Tu-154 B-2 aircraft was ready to carry its passengers to their destination. The ground crew worked diligently, ensuring that everything was in order for the flight. The plane's engines roared to life, a powerful reminder of the marvels of modern aviation. Its destination, the bustling metropolis of Moscow. A city that never sleeps, Moscow was a place of endless opportunities and vibrant energy. The passengers aboard Kolavia Flight 348 were looking forward to reuniting with loved ones, exploring the city's many attractions, or simply returning to the comfort of their homes. The flight promised to be a smooth and uneventful journey, a routine trip that would soon turn into a nightmare. On board, 116 passengers settled into their seats, their thoughts on reunions, celebrations, and the year ahead. They chatted with their seatmates, read books, or simply gazed out of the windows, lost in their own thoughts. The flight attendants moved through the cabin, ensuring that everyone was comfortable and that all safety procedures were followed. The atmosphere was one of calm and anticipation as the plane taxied to the runway. They were unaware that fate, shrouded in smoke and fire, had a cruel twist in store. As the plane ascended into the sky, a sense of unease began to spread among the passengers. The cabin filled with smoke, and the once calm atmosphere turned to chaos. Panic set in as the reality of the situation became clear. The flight attendants sprang into action, trying to maintain order and guide the passengers through the emergency procedures. This was no ordinary flight. What had started as a routine journey was now a desperate struggle for survival. The passengers clung to their seats, their faces etched with fear and uncertainty. The flight crew did their best to manage the crisis, but the situation was rapidly deteriorating. The plane was in trouble, and everyone on board knew that their lives were hanging in the balance. It was a journey that would end not in the embrace of loved ones but in a horrifying struggle for survival. The plane made an emergency landing, and the passengers were evacuated as quickly as possible. The aftermath was a scene of devastation, with the wreckage of the plane scattered across the tarmac. Survivors huddled together, grateful to be alive but haunted by the memories of the ordeal they had just endured. This is the untold story of Kolavia Flight 348, a story of bravery, of loss, and of the devastating consequences of technical failure. The investigation that followed sought to uncover the truth behind the disaster, to ensure that such a tragedy would never happen again. Families mourned the loss of their loved ones, and the world was reminded of the fragility of life and the importance of safety in aviation. This is a story that must be told, to honor the memories of those who were lost and to learn from the mistakes that were made. Deep within the belly of the aging Tupolev Tu-154 B-2, a silent predator lurked. This aircraft, once a marvel of Soviet engineering, now stood as a relic of the past, its systems aged and weary. The dimly lit interior with its worn seats and outdated controls held secrets that no one on board could fathom. The beast, hidden from sight, waited patiently, biding its time. Hidden amidst a labyrinth of wires and circuits, a spark ignited, small, insignificant, yet bearing the potential for unimaginable destruction. The beast had awakened. This spark, a mere flicker of light, was the harbinger of chaos. It danced along the wires, searching for fuel to feed its insatiable hunger. The aircraft's electrical system, a complex web of connections, became its playground. The time was 10 o'clock and 36 seconds local time. In the cockpit, the crew went about their pre-flight checks, unaware of the ticking time bomb beneath their feet. The analog and digital clocks, synchronized in their silent march forward, marked the moments before disaster. Each second that passed brought the spark closer to its deadly potential. Kolavia Flight 348, its nose pointed towards the promise of a new year, was preparing for pushback. The ground crew, busy with their tasks, ensured the aircraft was ready for its journey. The passengers, filled with anticipation and excitement, settled into their seats, oblivious to the danger lurking within the plane's bowels. The unsuspecting crew and passengers were oblivious to the silent threat that was about to engulf their world. Families chatted, children played, and the flight attendants performed their safety demonstrations with practiced ease. The atmosphere was one of routine and normalcy, a stark contrast to the impending catastrophe. In a matter of seconds, the spark grew, feeding on the aircraft's electrical system, transforming from a flicker to a raging inferno. The wires, once conduits of power and communication, became pathways for destruction. Flames spread rapidly, consuming everything in their path. The beast, now fully awakened, unleashed its fury, threatening to turn the aircraft into a fiery tomb. Panic surged through the cabin as thick black smoke began to billow from the rear of the aircraft. Passengers coughed, their eyes stinging, their hearts pounding against their ribs. The air grew heavy, thick with the stench of burning metal and the acrid tang of fear. Screams pierced the chaos. Mothers clutched their children, their faces etched with terror. The lights flickered, casting an eerie glow on the unfolding pandemonium. The once ordered world of Kolavia Flight 348 had descended into a terrifying, chaotic nightmare. Amidst the chaos, extraordinary courage emerged. Flight attendants, their faces blackened with soot, fought their way through the smoke-filled cabin, guiding terrified passengers towards the emergency exits. Outside, ground crew, their training kicking in, sprang into action. Armed with fire extinguishers and sheer determination, they battled the flames that now engulfed the tail section of the aircraft. Their heroic efforts would prove crucial in the race against time, a desperate struggle to save lives from the inferno. Section 5. Aftermath and Investigation, Unraveling the Tragedy. The fire, fueled by the aircraft's flammable materials, raged on, consuming everything in its path. The inferno was relentless, feeding on the plane's fuel and other combustible materials, creating a scene of utter devastation. Within minutes, the once proud Tupolev Tu-1 154B2 was reduced to a smoldering wreck, a twisted and charred remnant of its former self. The heat was so intense that it melted parts of the fuselage, leaving behind a haunting silhouette. A testament to the destructive power of a seemingly insignificant spark. Investigators would later determine that a small electrical fault had ignited the blaze, a tiny malfunction with catastrophic consequences. When the smoke finally cleared, the true extent of the tragedy became horrifyingly clear. The once bustling aircraft was now a graveyard of twisted metal and ash, a stark reminder of the fragility of human life. 3 souls, 2 adults and a child, had perished in the inferno. Their lives were tragically cut short, leaving behind grieving families and a community in shock. 43 others had sustained injuries ranging from minor burns to severe trauma. The survivors were rushed to nearby hospitals, their bodies bearing the physical and emotional scars of that fateful day. The emotional toll was immense, as survivors grappled with the trauma of the event and the loss of their fellow passengers. The investigation that followed sought to uncover the root cause of the disaster, aiming to prevent such a tragedy from ever occurring again. The eyes of the world turned to Surgut. How could a routine flight, on a seemingly ordinary day, end in such a catastrophic loss? The answer, as investigators would soon discover, lay hidden in the labyrinthine heart of the aircraft's electrical system. The culprit was identified as an electrical short circuit, a silent assassin lurking within the aircraft's aging wiring. Years of wear and tear, coupled with inadequate maintenance, had created a ticking time bomb, just waiting for the right moment to ignite. The investigation revealed a series of failings, a chain of neglect that ultimately led to the deaths of 3 innocent people and the trauma of countless others. The Tu-154B-2, once the workhorse of the Soviet aviation industry, had become a symbol of neglect, its aging systems crying out for attention. Maintenance schedules had not been followed, safety checks had been ignored, the pursuit of profit, it seemed, had taken precedence over the safety of passengers and crew. The tragedy of Kolavia Flight 348 served as a stark reminder of the importance of aviation safety, a wake-up call that echoed throughout the industry. The investigation's findings led to a series of safety recommendations aimed at preventing such a tragedy from ever happening again. The importance of rigorous maintenance, particularly in aging aircraft, was emphasized. The need for improved electrical system designs coupled with more effective emergency procedures and crew training was also highlighted. The legacy of Kolavia Flight 348 lives on, not only in the memories of those who perished and those whose lives were forever changed, but also in the tangible improvements that were made to aviation safety. The tragedy served as a catalyst for change, a stark reminder that behind every flight number, every departure time, are human lives. It is a reminder that the pursuit of safety must be relentless, unwavering, and placed above all else.